Oh, I just got out the barber shop, right? I'm back to a low cut. I haven't had a low cut in like a year. But what was crazy is you can tell I just left the barber shop because you got a lot of excess hair on you. But and since I had a fro, a lot of hair is all over me. So I literally just left about an hour ago. And what happened is there was a barber next in the next chair over from the barber who cut my hair, and I know this guy. He's just a barber. He's a barber. I know him as a barber. But I was like, yo, where's dude at? Is he here today? Just asking a basic this is small talk. Hey, what's dude at? Is he here today? I didn't really mean nothing by it. Just a general small talk fluff question. Dude opened up a drawer and handed me a paper, and I'm like, I already knew what time it was because when somebody do something like that, if they're that comfortable with you knowing the public information about somebody, then it's got to be Chomo activities. So I read it, and he got in trouble for sexual he molested somebody under 13. I guess that's how the law works. But yeah, it said under 13, and he failed to register or something. So basically, he got ran out the barbershop. And this dude drew a lot of attention to himself. People thought he was weird, and I didn't think he was weird. I thought he was just from another city. He said he's from Philly, and he had a special where he charged $8 on Monday. And when he came to this new barbershop from an old one, they didn't like that because they were like, yo, you charging $8. People charge 40 for a haircut. We don't care if that's your promotional thing. Dog, you can't do that. Because they're looking at it like, yo, that means we got to charge $8. I mean, you can't do that. You can do that. I mean, because at the old shop, he was the only barber there because it was a new shop. The manager was trying to get it off his feet. He was the only barber, and it didn't work out. So he went to another shop. So yeah, man. But that's how I know him. I knew him as a dude that had the $8 cuts on Monday. That's his promotional thing. And I met him at another barbershop randomly, just getting a haircut, because I didn't have no specific barber at that time. Now I do. But I didn't then. I just go anywhere. And I bumped into him. He moved to the shop where he was the one cutting by himself. Then he moved to the shop with other barbers. So that's how I went. And I don't know him like that. I just know him from those circumstances, right? So dude was like, yeah, he was a chomo. And I'm reading the paper, and I'm like, whoa. And when I gave it back to him, he put it right under his little desk where he had his clippers and stuff. He put it in the desk. And it was just like, wow, man. But what shocks me is, I mean, you can go on a website and look up sex offenders, and it'll show you their job and give you their job address. And it's crazy because they all work. I think that like people who get convicted of sex offenders get treated better by jobs and corporations than people who sell drugs, for example. It's like all of them are gainfully employed, and it's crazy. I'm like, whoa, do they really face the discrimination that we think they do? I mean, the people in prison and jail, that's the only place where chomos are really unsafe like that because they kill them. It's in every gang's bylaws you can't do time with them because it's considered disrespectful for them to even be around you. You can't do time with them, and that's a disrespect to your gang, basically, if you allow a chomo to live with you. So that's usually how it goes, especially the white dudes. They don't play. But yeah, man, that was an interesting tidbit, man. It's something that just happened. It was crazy. Like I said, man, I don't know who's who. That's why I never really have expectations for people, whether they're an associate, whatever. And also with the Rick Ross thing, people want to know, how can Rick Ross snitch on somebody he don't know? In the last video, I played a clip of Big Boss saying that Rick Ross is in his paperwork and he never met him. Well, the feds have jurisdiction over the whole country, so they got a different mentality. The feds could come to you and say, look, you might not know this guy, but your drugs are ending up in his hand. Remember, Rick Ross was a super kingpin, a hyper kingpin, as they say. And so his drugs are getting to people that he don't know. So in another state, somebody could have his drugs lowered down in the chain, the chain of custody, and they might not have ever met Rick. They might not even know this is Rick's drugs, but they're getting it down the line, down the ladder, down the chain. So the feds could go to Rick and say, yeah, this is one of the guys that's getting your coke. You don't know him, but if you could say, hey, yeah, I sold it to him, we can convict him, and then we'll give you a time cut, or we'll drop your charges. So you got to understand the feds are very creative. And as long as Rick doesn't even have to know that person. If they're engaged in the same conspiracy and the feds just say, hey, you don't know this guy, but he's in your conspiracy. Your drugs end up to him in North Carolina or whatever state he's in. When you sling your drugs, that's where it ends up. Some of it ends up with this guy. And Rick might not know the guy, but they're engaged in the same conspiracy. So if Rick snitches on him and say, yeah, I sell keys to him directly, or I know that he's getting my drugs, you can tear him out the frame. As we say in Richmond, Virginia, you can get him tow off. You know, I always thought that meant like getting towed by a truck. That's what I picture, a dude with handcuffs getting towed away by a truck, but really it means like tear a picture, tow off, like tear a picture off, tear you out the frame. So yeah, man, it's crazy. So you can't think with the normal mind. When it comes to the feds, they get creative. They got a big budget. They got a 99% conviction rate. So you need to stop thinking, well, why would he stick to somebody who don't know? The feds are probably lying. No, the feds aren't lying. The feds are telling Rick to lie. I mean, that's hypothetically, of course, but no, the feds, no. You know what I mean? It's a different ball game. You can't use a normal mindset. But anyway, man, peace.